If you were transported back to the deep sea of the Ordovician period, 470 million years ago, you wouldn't see sharks or mosasaurs. But looking up into the darkness, you'd see something suspended above you. An abyssal giant over 10 meters long, its front end covered in thick, powerful tentacles. Not a mutant octopus, not some strange rock. This was the most brutal biological shredding machine in Earth's history, the orthocone. In an age when the land was completely barren and the seafloor held only tiny creatures, the orthocone's arrival was a one-sided massacre. What truly gives scientists chills isn't its size, it's that it had mastered physics-level neutral buoyancy. Its shell wasn't solid, it held 30 or 40 gas chambers, threaded by a biological tube. Fill with gas to rise, pump in water to sink, a ballast system nature perfected nearly 500 million years before humans invented submarines using the same principle. Even more astonishing was its propulsion. This giant didn't swim like a fish, it violently sucked seawater into a muscular siphon and blasted out like a high-pressure water cannon, launching through the darkness like an upside-down torpedo with no running start needed. The most confident creatures in that sea, heavily armored trilobites and sea scorpions, had defenses about as useful as potato chips against it. It would hover silently above the reefs, disguising its tentacles as harmless strands of seaweed. The moment prey drifted close enough to disturb the water, more than a dozen tentacles shot out like giant pythons, dragging the victim toward the abyss at their center, where a massive hard beak, shaped like a giant parrot's, waited. It didn't chew, it crushed, like an industrial hydraulic press, shattering shell in a single sickening crunch. And the prey was often still alive for what followed. The orthocone's radula, a tongue lined with backward-facing barbs, scraping soft tissue and organs from inside the broken shell like a chainsaw, while the victim's nervous system stayed fully conscious through all of it. This wasn't hunting, it was live dissection. Meanwhile, your own distant ancestor, a tiny armored fish only a few centimeters long, hid trembling in the reef cracks, scavenging whatever scraps were left behind. The orthocone never knew it, but every massacre was quietly forcing that little fish to swim faster, grow harder bones, and get smarter. But the universe has a cruel sense of irony. What finally destroyed this living submarine wasn't a stronger predator, it was a climate catastrophe. Around 443 million years ago, the supercontinent Gondwana triggered a devastating ice age. Temperatures plunged 20 degrees, sea levels collapsed, and the deep oceans shrank into shallow, frigid pools. The food chain collapsed from the bottom up as trilobites declined, and for a giant needing astronomical amounts of food daily, starvation became inevitable. But that wasn't even the cruelest part. The same ballast system that made it a miracle of the deep sea became a coffin on the retreating tidal flats. Massive orthocones found themselves trapped among reefs and mudflats, unable to move, their jet propulsion useless, like trying to sail a nuclear submarine into a creek 2 meters deep. It had bet everything on one unbeatable strategy, and nature simply overturned the board. The tiny creatures it once treated as snacks survived by hiding in rock crevices, while this invincible war machine that had ruled the oceans for tens of millions of years could only struggle on the drying seabed, watching the water disappear. It didn't die in battle, it was dragged to death by its own flawless design. But the story doesn't end there. Faced with that same extinction, two branches of the orthocone's distant descendants defied their ancestors. They abandoned the hard shell that had once meant absolute defense, trading it for a chance at survival. Those descendants became today's octopuses and squid. Next time you eat grilled squid and pull out that thin, plastic-like strip inside it, that's not the restaurant adding weight. It's the internal shell, the final remnant of a 10-meter armored giant from over 400 million years ago. After hundreds of millions of years, it survives as the last relic of a vanished deep-sea empire, the shadow of an ancient kingdom hiding almost absurdly, between your teeth. A prehistoric overlord that once stood above everything has become nothing more than protein on a dinner plate. At Earth's gaming table, no one wins forever.